Hey everyone, welcome to Professor and Friends. We are live. Hey everyone, welcome to Professor and Friends. I have a very special guest with me on this evening. Took time out of his extremely busy schedule. The man, the myth, the legend, Chase Gentry. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Not a problem, man. Happy to be on here, dude. Thanks for having me. It really means a lot.
Yeah, we had you on the other show back. I guess it was the end of last year, first this year.
Yeah.
I can't remember when it was, but you had a lot of things up your sleeve then, and since then we have seen quite a few of those.
Yeah.
But also in that time, I know you've really pushed your YouTube channel and you've grown that like crazy in the last few months. That's been really awesome.
Yeah.
But for those of us out there who may not have had any interaction with you or don't follow you, tell us a little bit about yourself and the man behind the hat.
Yeah, man. Well, again, like you said, my name is Chase Gentry. I'm from South Texas. I'm a gearhead at heart. My wife and I, we own a gym down here. That's sort of our bread and butter. Before we opened the gym, which was back in 2018, I spent 10 years of my life dedicated to basically vehicles. I went to school to be a technician. I was a Lexus Toyota tech for a little while. And then I sold Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Ram for, 7 years-ish. And I spent dark to dark 6 days a week, moving metal, and decided that's not how I wanted to live my life. And so I decided we're going to start adventuring and living life to the fullest, man. So we play with stuff that's four-wheel drive and see beautiful country along the way, man. That's our thing. So
that's cool. Well, tell me how Adventure OVRLND started. Where did it get its roots from?
Man, that started back in 2016. I went to a local off-road park here in Texas, and I had my, basic built Tacoma back then with a, entry-level lift. And some guy was like, man, you should make an Instagram or something. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, And like, back in 16, I think Overland was kind of just starting to trend or whatever. And I was like, well, Overland's a thing. I like to camp and four-wheel drive, and adventure is sort of how I live my life. So like, well, Adventure OVRLND, we'll just call it that. And, here we are 4 or 5 years later, and just opportunity after opportunity, man. It's wild to think, it's crazy how things happen, man.
It's amazing how it snowballs with just a conversation, and you think, oh yeah, I should do this. And then here we are 5 years later going, how in the world did we get here?
Yeah, man, it's wild. A hobby has turned into basically a profession, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I want to remind everybody that we are live and we will take your comments and questions, and we'd really like to hear from some of our viewers out there, especially while we're on the air. And so we're going to get right down to it and talk about it right after station identification.
Hey everyone, it's Adam. It's Step 22 Gear.
Yeah, I got it. All right, you ready?
Hey guys, this is Frankie from Overland Rentals.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah from Overland Pioneer.
This is Aaron from Artemis.
I'm Tyler with Yoda Adventure.
Hi, we're Jessica and Jorge of Live Work Wonder.
Hey, this is Aaron from Artemis Overland Hardware.
This is Jeff with Baddock Adventure Co.
I'm Aaron with Switchback Outdoor Safety.
It's Chris from More Expo.
And you are watching Professor and Friends.
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 And Friends.
That's always fun to get everybody to come on there and do a little ditty for me, especially when we have the old banjo playing in the background. That's always fun. But sometimes I need to, at my age, I need to be reminded what I'm doing. So that's why I always play that at the beginning. Chase, how old are you? Tell me how old you are.
I'll be 33 this year, man. So I'm
33. Wow, you're just a
33
pup.
Yeah.
You are just a pup. I turned 50 last month or 2 months ago, and
Just
man,
him.
I think I'm really starting to feel like your old Bronco. I mean, you take me out and this guy shows up and he buys me, and then he just puts 3,000 miles on me in the first 2 weeks, and I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah. That's how it's been lately. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, for those of us who do follow you, we know that you have spent a lot of time in the recent months doing some testing on the new Broncos, and you have been one of the few, the chosen, that have got to experience these new things. Tell us about that experience. Man, that's got to be awesome.
Man, honestly, in an unbiased, like I said, I'm a gearhead. You guys know that. And, on paper, the Bronco was really impressive, a year and a half, 2 years ago when I first started reading about it. And, this is before I was even affiliated with Ford. I just, on paper, I was like, this is an impressive machine, Nobody had seen it. It hadn't been out. It's just online. And, fast forward, 7-8 months, getting to actually go ride in them and drive them. And, man, like, it's a very impressive machine out of the box, with the capability and the equipment that it comes with, compared to what I've had to do to my vehicles in the past to, get somewhat to that level. Man, it's to say that I'm excited is an understatement. I can't wait to actually have mine in my possession and actually go out and, do things that I like to do, in not controlled settings, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because obviously that's an experience, but going out and, spending a day running 5 or 6 miles of, hardcore off-road stuff is different than, on a course that's
definitely,
you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's an incredible machine, man. It really is.
Well, I saw my first one somewhere up, when we ran up the Upper Peninsula a couple weeks ago on motorcycles. There was one sitting at a dealership. I almost wrecked. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a Bronco. And the other guys who were with me were oblivious. They're like, what are you talking about? Well, I was screaming my head off, saying, there's a Bronco, there's a Bronco. And I was trying to get them to stop, but they took off and I didn't get them to stop. But I really wanted to see it up close because I've heard the same thing that you're saying, that right off the lot, you're talking about something that has superior capabilities of something like you buy something else and you do a lot of work to it. Well, you're getting that right off the lot with these new Broncos.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, man, like there is no perfect vehicle, right? I mean, we all know that mechanically there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. It really depends on like the user and, the application that's going to be used for. Personally, for the style of traveling and off-roading that I do, it's ideal because we do a lot of miles in between destinations, in between off-roading scenarios. And so having a vehicle with the IFS in the front end, is going to give you that real stable, comfortable ride on the highway. And then when you get out somewhere, obviously it's not a straight axle, it's not a Jeep, you know what I mean? But it is extremely capable compared to both of my previously full built, overland rigs. By far a lot more capable and a lot more comfortable. So it's just for me and for, what we do, it's, I couldn't ask for anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Well, this is an odd topic for us to talk about because, I've had Land Rover guys on here. I've had Land Cruiser guys on here, Jeep guys, FJ guys. We're talking about something that nobody has. And so this is a very interesting topic. Yeah, and I see what you're saying there, Kira. It's not a Jeep. That's a typical statement. Everybody says that. And we also have on here Brandon Waters, who has a Tacoma. Brandon just had a baby this week. Congratulations, Brandon. That's pretty amazing. I'm glad it's you and not me. I'm done with that. Man, I'm so done with the little kids, but I like other people's kids because you can give them back.
Yeah.
But we're talking, we got taco people on here. We got Jeep people on here. And so it's something completely different than what I've really talked about in the past because nobody has one. And so what really started your love for Broncos? Where did that come from, or was that even a thing before now?
Man, so again, I'm a gearhead at heart, so I like all things that go vroom vroom and got 4-wheel drive. That's who I am. However, I went to school and learned the ins and outs of Toyotas. I was a Lexus and Toyota technician, so I like Toyotas a lot. However, my first vehicle was a 92 F-150, so I've always had sort of, I don't know, some sort of love for Fords as well. And, whenever I had built my Tacoma, I had it for 3.5, 4 years and was sort of at that, when you build a vehicle and it's sort of just, unless you're going to convert it to solid axle or something and really, dive over the deep end, it's kind of like it was, I couldn't do anything else to it. I'd already pushed it to its absolute limits. I took it places where it probably shouldn't have been. And so when I was making that consideration to go bigger, I really was thinking something like a full size, big overland build, like an F-250, big body truck, or seeing specs on the Bronco. I like the nimbleness of a mid-sized vehicle and having just the capability, man. The lockers front and rear 35s. It just had so much that I had spent years and so much money on the Tacoma and even the 4Runner to get close to that, and it already had it all, which inspired a lot of confidence that was going to be a good platform to start with, to do something else with. And then, getting to actually experience it. I mean, I got to ride with Vaughn in Moab, and I thought I was a full send it kind of guy. And Vaughn, dude, I don't think I've ever been in a vehicle treated that hard before, and it did quit, And after that, it was just like, it solidified my love for it, man. I mean, I was like, man, if this thing just did all that and we just drove back fine, like, hell yeah, I'm in. You know what I mean? Like,
now, do you have any insight on what was the reason or what was behind Ford bringing the Bronco out? I don't know if they have reasons or if it was the overlanding explosion or the off-road explosion that's happening right now. Why do you think they brought it out now?
That's a good question, man. I think, I don't work for Ford directly, so I can't speak on their behalf. However, I feel like Ford has always been ballsy. And even back in the day, Carroll Shelby, I don't know if you saw that movie, Ford versus Ferrari or whatever, like Ford's always just kind of like done stuff that was not normal, I guess. Even when they built the Raptor, back in 2010, that was one of those trucks where it was like, what? A high dollar off-road truck. And I think with the Raptor success and then with the way that COVID happened, there was a lot more people, outside and stuff. And of course, the Bronco was launched way before COVID ever happened. But I think bringing it out now is a lot of that is because more people are outside doing things, and it's just a big, I mean, the Bronco namesake, it's a classic American brand, it's been out since the 60s, and it's always going to be a, I don't know, a trusted name, I guess, something that's like American,
Yeah, that's true. Ford has always, a lot like Chevrolet with the Corvettes, they've always kept the Mustangs around.
Yeah.
And the Broncos have been that name that really hasn't faded. It's always been there, and people love restoring them and going back, and it just makes sense that that they would bring it back. I really don't know why they took it off to begin with, but it's a perfect timing on their part.
I couldn't agree more. It's right now there's Polarises are selling like crazy, boats are selling like crazy, RVs are selling like crazy, and to bring it back right now, I mean, just look. 4 years ago, you drive around, nobody knew what a rooftop tent was. Now there's rooftop tents on minivans. Everybody is doing this. So having a vehicle that, again, it's just got a little bit of everything and not, too much of one and not enough of another. It's hard to. It's got all the good stuff of all of it kind of put into one package and like, here you go.
Yeah.
So it's just. I'm really excited about it, man, obviously. So
now of all the different trims that were out there, Kara asked, would you purchase any style or go straight for the Sasquatch? did you get to try out all the trims, or what were
Yeah,
made available to you?
I've been in all of them, and as far as trims, Sasquatch is going to give you a little bit more capability off road. Bigger tire, a little higher suspension. So as far as trim level, it just sort of depends on features and functions that you're used to. Like for me, my Tacoma, I had heated seats, sunroof, had all the bells and whistles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to base because you're not going to have a lot of the fancy stuff, the bigger screen and navigate, all the bells and whistles. But personally, because I like to do things a little more aggressive off-road, Sasquatch was a must. I would have to have a Sasquatch personally. But it just,
Okay.
Again, it depends on the user, really. If it's somebody that's hitting state parks, national parks, that's, mild dirt roads, pavement, you probably won't really need the Sasquatch, or Badlands, because, the Badlands is going to give you the lockers front and rear.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would depend on the person asking that question. So, Kara, I don't know exactly how, what type of off-roading or stuff that you do, but hopefully
they wheel pretty hard. They go out to tear their stuff up. That's exactly what they do.
Badlands,
yeah,
you're my kind of person. Let's go wheeling together.
Yeah. They her and Matt go out just to see, can we do this? They bought a new Gladiator and took it up all the Hell's Revenge and all that other stuff right out of the box. I mean, I was like, holy cow, that thing doesn't even have a scratch on it. Yep. But I think it's going to be a while before people who have them get their hands on them, and so it's going to take that much longer for companies to produce aftermarket parts. And so, if you don't want to wait, you might want to get the one with all the bells and whistles.
That's true. I do know of a lot of top name manufacturers and aftermarket companies have had pre-production Broncos in their possession for a while. That's been developing parts for them now. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be out, that is already out, and that will be out pretty dang soon.
I wish I had saved the photo. You posted something photograph from Four Wheel Parts of one that was just completely decked out. I mean, it was just unreal cool.
That one is sick. I got to see that thing in Moab, and front and rear bumpers, sliders, fender deletes, 37s, 3-inch lift. That's another thing, man. 2.5 inches of lift, 3 inches of lift. You can put a 37 on it, and you're ready to rock. With a 10-speed transmission and a 4.7 axle ratio, like you arguably don't really need to re-gear it. With 37. Which is again, if any of you guys out there have geared your vehicles, it's $3,000 to do that.
Right.
And that's a big expense, and I don't know, man. It just, the power that things put to the ground is just really incredible. Again, compared to my Tacoma Foreigners, which are we're pigs,
Yeah.
So,
no kidding. I'm just asking this out of ignorance, but what size motor do they have? Do they have V6 in them?
Yeah, it's there's two different variants. You can get an inline 4-cylinder turbo or a 2.7 liter V6 twin turbo also. And I've ridden in both, and man, the 2.7 specifically with the 10-speed automatic is absolutely insane. It is torquey as hell, which is super fun off road. But I have been in the 2.3 4-cylinder with the 7-speed or 6-speed plus swung to low crawl gear, and that it was on 33s, and we were in Johnson Valley, California, and again that thing had more power than my Gear Tacoma did.
Wow.
So I mean, it was, again, that little bitty powertrain is still freaking impressive.
Yeah.
And I've been in a Ranger that has the same powertrain on 35s, 9 inches wider than stock, fully loaded, deck down, bed rag, armor, front, rear, and then that truck even moved. So like,
wow.
It's an impressive powertrain. It's been out for a little while too, so it's reliable, so.
What about tow rating for those who have trailers? You have any idea about that? 3,500
pounds.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, if you guys start following me really regularly, you should watch, because we're going to be pulling something. We'll just put it
very cool. Very cool.
3,500 pounds is the maximum towing capacity. Now, again, I think it'll tow a lot more than that, but because of the suspension on those things, it's an off-road vehicle, and it's, handling, stopping, that kind of things is what limits towing capacities, not power. We'll just make that clear. You know what I mean? So there's way more than enough power to pull way more weight. It's just that's a lighter vehicle and that's nimble, so you put something that's double its weight behind it, it's not going to stop and be safe. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Speaking of safety, what safety features does it have on it? Side airbags, roll cage, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's got which honestly I don't know how they do it, but if you've been in a Jeep, they got that crossbar right over your head when you're sitting in the front seats. The Bronco is just a big open sky. It's a big square structural frame above you, and then it just kind of ties in. So what makes it really neat for visibility when you got the top off. But there is side curtain airbags in the side of the roll cage, and of course the front and in the seats too. So I mean, I don't know what the actual crash safety rating is, but it does have all the same airbags. That's pretty standard across the board these days now.
That's cool. Well, we are all about safety, and we're going to take a break right here and hear from Aaron from Switchback Outdoor Safety with today's safety brief.
Hey, this is Aaron with Switchback Outdoor Safety, and today we're going to talk about some items you should have while you're out traveling, camping, or hiking, biking. The first thing we think we ought to have is always a trauma kit. We have a trauma kit that is principally based. It sits on your chest. We have large packs, small packs. But in the trauma kit, you're going to end up with a tourniquet, an Elias bandage, which is a hemostatic bandage, an occlusive dressing, a chest seal, nasopharyngeal airway, an emergency rescue blanket, and trauma shears, nitrile gloves. Check back next week, and we're going to talk about each of these items so that you know what they do and how to use them.
Well, Aaron talks about all the stuff that we need to have, but we hope we never use. So, man, I carry a tourniquet every day in my everyday job, and I hope I never have to use it. It's just one of those things where it's a necessary evil, a lot like side airbags and roll cages. So we definitely want to talk safety for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I need to know how he grows that beard too, man.
He's been working on that for a while. He's been working on that for a while. He is a super guy. A lot of information coming from Aaron in our safety brief. We call it that because it's about safety and it's brief. So perfect name for that. Now, tell us about, want to ask you a little bit about your recent purchase that you've had going a little old school with the older Bronco. Tell us about Dusty.
Dude, man, I am in absolute love with Dusty, man. So it's a 1994 Bronco XLT Special Edition, fully loaded, and got the original window sticker in it. 145,000 miles when we picked it up, and I put 3,300 miles on it in 16 days. The fun part about Dusty is that it took me about a month and a half to find it. I was going through, 20 or so different Broncos online, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, just sort of hunting around for one. I always had sort of liked, that OBS style Bronco. And my first truck was a 92 F-150. So from the front seats forward, it's basically the same truck. The vehicle that my wife and I met in and went to high school in. So it's just a little bit of memory lane, and so when I started looking for one, I was like, well, let's make this cool, fun adventure. And we found one in California, which was Dusty. And we, talking to the guy for a couple of weeks, he's like, oh, it's solid, man. I'm like, dude, I'm taking your word for it. We're trusting you because we're going to fly over there and I'm going to drive it back and we're going to make an adventure out of it. And so that's what we did, man. We flew to California the 10th of July and we just kind of, scenic route all the way back, 2,223 miles is what it was. We hit Vegas, the Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon. We hit Theodore Roosevelt Dam. We hit a few hundred miles of Route 66 and just saw some beautiful country in an old big body cruiser of a truck, So the plans are to basically fully restore that thing. I'm sort of waiting to get the new Bronco before I start, kind of taking it apart or whatever. But it's got no rust. The powertrain is solid, cold AC, remote keyless entry. I mean, everything works. It's just, it's a 27 truck, So I think we did pretty good on it, man. He's, I honestly just love that driving it around. Big captain's chairs. I mean, they don't have that these days,
Yeah. It's like buying an old Lincoln. Everything was big
Yeah.
back then, you know.
It's got the hood, the big metal, like, you know, and the doors, you know, and it had like loud, you know, just old, good American-made vehicle, you know.
That was back before America discovered aluminum. Everything was steel. I mean, everything was big and heavy, and I love it. And Curious said, hadn't seen one of those since OJ was on TV. Now, I asked you before the show if you had got any OJ comments since you've been posting about that.
I can't even, there's too many to count.
Well, if we ever see you running from the cops, we'll know it was you and not OJ, because he would only do that once. And, you know, there'll be a lot of good Photoshop going on there. I don't know if you've thought about that yet or not, but I think that'd be some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. It's crazy man, how technology has come along. I mean, that thing's got a 4-speed transmission and a big old 5.8 liter engine. And, you know, now we're talking a 2.7 liter V6 with 10 speeds that's got 120 more horsepower than the old V8, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy. A lot of the old school Bronco guys like, I don't got a V8 in it. Well, you know, it makes a lot more power, you know, than that old thing sitting out there in the driveway.
Right.
You know? So,
right. Yeah. So now that you've in a very short amount of time, you've been in one of the older models and you've been in one of the newer models. Tell us the similarities that you saw and the differences.
Oh man, that's a hard one, man, because there's a lot of you know, specifically with the 94. I mean, there's the brand and the carryover, I guess, and the image of the Bronco itself. That's where I think there's a lot of, I wouldn't really call it similarities, because they're not even in the same ballpark. It's just something about the name is it's I don't know, man. Not a physical similarity, but it just ties over because it's just Bronco. Something about Bronco, just, I don't know. I can't describe it, man. You know, I've been around a lot of different car meets and been in the car industry for a long time. And, you know, I've been at several Bronco specific events and hung around a lot of the older Bronco crowd, the people that have these, you know, 60s and 70s Broncos. And man, the community is like no other. It's wild, man. You know, and the community across the industry is obviously everybody's cool. You know, everyone has cool cars. I don't discriminate what you drive, but man, I don't think I've ever met a community as strong as the Bronco people. It's really wild, man.
That's cool. Now, what would your preference be? Hard top or soft top?
Hard top all the way. Hard top. Yeah.
Okay. Hard top.
Yeah. Just if I lived like in Moab or, I don't know, you know, somewhere where, you know, my backyard was a place to go off-roading, then I would probably have a soft top and, you know, leave the top off. But, you know, it's a 10-hour drive to get anywhere out of Texas from where I live. So I don't know, man. Maybe the old man in me is coming out. It's just quiet and comfortable between destinations is what I'm going for. So
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. You know, both of us, we live in about the same weather conditions, and so we value air conditioner a lot. And we have to drive a long way to get to any place cool. So if you lived in southern sunny California, where it never rained and the sun shined all the time, it's perfect weather every day, I can see having a soft top and never even putting the top on it. I mean, it would just be amazing. But shoot, right now it's 1,000 degrees and I've got no desire to have any top off anything.
Where are you at again?
I'm in Arkansas.
Oh, how's the humidity up there?
It's extremely high.
I feel your pain, man.
Yeah. We're very similar on temperatures. It got up to 100 today, and I think the humidity was right at about 70%. So
sounds like outside right now.
You just walk out and burst into flames. So it's just
go outside one time, you're sticky and hot. I mean, it's just
it don't take long. What can you see in the future for the Broncos as far as overlanding goes? Do you think there's a lot of companies that are going to make a lot of aftermarket parts and really kind of focus that like they've done the Tacomas and the different vehicles like that?
Big time, man. It's again, like I was saying, you know, there's rooftop tents on minivans now, you know, there's going to be, they're hitting that market extremely hard. And honestly, man, it's not just Ford. Every manufacturer that makes an off-road purpose-built vehicle is really targeting that right now. I think even, soon when like the new Toyota Tacomas and stuff come out, like the new Frontier that's out, Ford with the Ranger, they've got some stuff up their sleeves with that truck and that platform too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even the Bronco, the first iteration of it, is badass. But in a year or two, when a bigger variant of it comes out, that's going to be everything that you would do aftermarket on top of an already good vehicle. Again, it's let's just turn the knob one more notch and see what it does.
Yeah.
So as far as the Overland, definitely, man, they're already in cahoots with a lot of different partner companies that are developing manufacturer offered air compressor mounts and stuff that you can get directly from Ford. It's crazy, man. They've really listened to people like me and you in the industry and actual enthusiasts that are out doing this stuff every single day, really testing their vehicles' capabilities and limits. And let's build stuff that's tailored to that versus just, hey, this is cool, here you go, you should buy it because it's the best thing in the world. And that's not what they're doing. It's a purpose-built vehicle, man. And they're really following that line on this thing. So
that's cool. Well, we got a superstar in the house. Ken Hoagland has joined us.
What up, Ken?
Had Ken on the show last week. We had a great time. Ken asked about your gym. I know he works out a lot, taking the beer from here to here. That's probably his workout every day.
Reels. Yeah, Ken's a man.
Ken is a super guy, and he has become extremely creative with his videos. Man, I gave him a hard time about that. He has become just somebody that you have to watch.
Yep. I couldn't agree. Yeah, definitely, man. Ken's a cool dude. I meet him in person. Ken, when was that? We were in Washington, I think at one of the Overland rallies back in, I think 18, 19, something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ken's another one that has I have a little beard envy on for. He is.
Yeah, Ken's got a badass beard.
Yeah, he is definitely got the beard going on there. Now we got a good question here. Kara's just full of questions. Oh, Ken said the Northwest Overland Rally was where that was at. Kara's got a good question. She's always got good questions. What did you not like about the Bronco?
Okay, that's a great question, and I love that you asked that because I sold cars for a lot of my professional career, and in the car business, every manufacturer and everything, they always teach you to tell everybody the best things about everything. And again, like I said earlier, there is no perfect car. I think the Bronco is pretty damn close, but there's some small things on it, from the factory, like the rock sliders on the Badlands is not frame mounted, which I think is kind of across the board. Nobody does frame mounted sliders. And then the strut bolts going through the lower control arms, I think pose not a clearance issue, but they come through the control arm on the bottom, and they're going to get hit by rocks, which could make replacing parts down the line kind of a pain in the rear. And honestly, that's kind of the only things I don't like about it.
That's pretty minimal.
Yeah, I mean, people that's listening is going to obvious, biased opinion, but truthfully, again, I don't have mine in my possession. I've only spent a day at a time with them, but time will tell, and I can promise you guys that I'm going to be the individual that's going to test the living hell out of it. So I'm going to find things that I don't like, and I'm going to find the weak points. That's why they're giving it to me. So I'm going to see what it's made out of. So we'll touch this question again in 3 or 4 months and see what I come up with then.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. And there's something about just going out and driving other people's stuff, but when you have one of your own, that makes a huge difference.
Big difference. A lot of people. I mean, they're not a cheap car. And no car's cheap anymore. It's crazy how much cars.
It's unbelievable.
But when you buy something and invest 50, 60 grand in something, you're going to be concerned on things that you don't like and things that need improvement. So I'm in a really unique position to be able to not worry essentially about that aspect of it and just go see what it's made out of. So I'm really excited to share my experience with everybody in that sense. So
yeah, we'll be excited to see that. I think everybody needs to go and check you out on your Instagram and your YouTube page. That's Adventure OVRLND. That's Overland without the vowels.
Yep. I
And
screw everybody up with that.
y'all, yeah. So y'all be able to find that pretty easy, especially for being like people like me that can't spell.
Yeah.
Now, what do you see? How do you plan on customizing it? And what do you plan on doing to it right out of the box?
So right out of the box, wheels and tires. Nothing against the Goodyears that's on it, but because I always run an alternate just because of how many miles I do. But this is different. I'm going to put a real aggressive tire on it because again, I'm gonna wheel the living hell out of it. So wheels and tires. I'm not really allowed to do a whole lot to the suspension per the contract. There's a lot of legal stuff involved with somebody giving me a vehicle. So
yeah.
Because of that, I don't want to weight it down a whole bunch because, front and rear bumpers and stuff, everything is, the more weight you put on a vehicle, everything, the ride dynamic changes, the suspension changes, the ground clearance, everything changes, and so I'm going to basically try to keep it as light as possible because I'm going to wheel it really, really hard. Now, if I was permitted to, put a 3-inch lift kit on it in 37s, that would change things because I could bump up spring rates and accommodate heavier bumpers front and rear and, a bunch of skid plates in the bottom. But truthfully, it's going to be wheels, tires, winch up front, air compressor, and a bunch of lights. That's kind of like what I'm going to be doing right out of the box.
Cool.
Then I'll go out and do some stuff with it, kind of see how it's doing for me, and then kind of go from there, man. I'm going to be pulling something behind me that's going to have a lot of my gear, so that's why I don't need to really, full-blown overland build it like I did my Tacoma or even the 4Runner because there's going to be more of a base camp, and let's go beat the shit out of this thing. So that's,
I love it. So we talked a little bit about that before we went on air, but tell us a little bit about the future after you get this thing. Where are the wheels and tires going to take you?
Sky's the limit. So again, this opportunity is massive, and I still can't really wrap my head around it. But Ford's covering all my fuel, so that's a big part of what we do is to get places is to pay for the gas, which is why content is really important for me because anything that comes in used to pay for maintenance and fuel, all that kind of stuff. So now that we've got that out of the equation, the plan for the next 12 months, because that's the duration of my contract with Ford, is to basically put as many miles on it as I possibly can and see as many things that is on my bucket list that I could possibly imagine. So I would love to, I live 20 minutes from the Gulf of Mexico. I'd love to go from, ocean to the very top to Alaska, to the Arctic Ocean, water to water. That would be an epic trip for me.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of stuff on the west side of the U.S., and I would love to do and see some more of the northeastern side of the country. And I would love to do sort of like maybe a U.S. tour around the entire border of the United States. I think that'd be really cool,
Yeah.
But
that's cool. I think you'll be able to provide a ton of content for yourself and for Ford.
Oh, that's the plan, man. Yeah,
so that's going to be cool.
I'm a little bit I'm a little intimidated by how much editing and stuff is
in your future. How much is it going to be in your future?
Yeah.
Jo asked, how's the storage in the rear? For those of us who have never seen inside the rear of one of these things, what does it look like?
If you're in a 2-door, you got about 18 inches behind the back seat, and it's very square. The side panels are almost straight up and down. I don't know if you've been in a Jeep where there's like the sub on the side, and it kind of has like a round profile. On some of the older Jeeps and like newer Jeeps with the subs in the floor, but the side paneling on the 2-door and the 4-door, it's very boxy. So when you're packing stuff, it's kind of like Tetris. There's a lot of just straight walls, but you got 18 inches behind the back seat of the 2-door ish, something like that. Don't quote me on the actual measurement. And then the 4-door, it's actually really impressive. If you've been in the back of a 4Runner, it's same depth. It might be just a tad narrower, but it's, again, the 4Runner's kind of got like the curve and then like the wheel wells, whereas the Bronco, it's just like a straight wall panel, which makes it nicer.
Right. Okay. Do you know the width of it? Because most of our trails here in Arkansas are 50 inches is what they gauge by. Do you know the width of it offhand?
Like actual wheelbase or inside?
I'm talking about outside to outside.
Outside,
So,
I don't know that, man. I know that the Sasquatch is a little wider than the base. I don't know that exactly, but it's a wider truck, man. I mean,
okay.
yeah, it's not bigger than, I think it's an inch wider than a Jeep, I think.
Okay. Well, that'll put somebody right in between, like a Tacoma and a full size. So
Yeah,
that'll be a good, with it not having any more than a 3-inch lift. That'll have really good low center of gravity, especially
oh,
for going down some of the trails.
yeah, definitely. It's crazy. Like I said, you can do very minimal and put a lot of tire on it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to put a 33 on a Tacoma, let me tell you. And
Yeah.
to do a few minor things and put a 37, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you think that not being able to modify it very much is going to affect your love for it? Say.
That's a hard question to answer. I mean, possibly. For the creative and the mechanical side of my brain, it's going to sort of drive me crazy that I can't really hardcore modify that aspect of it. But I think Dusty is going to help me sort of alleviate that want, because I'm going to be able to tinker on that thing,
Yeah.
But as far as diminishing any sort of excitement or love about it, definitely not, man. I mean, it's such an impressive truck out of the box. I mean, again, I had an $80 grand invested in my Tacoma, $79,000 invested in that thing. And like stock to stock and then stock to fully built Tacoma.
Yeah.
It will walk circles blindfolded around my Tacoma, and
Wow.
like Tacoma was very impressive, and I had a lot of fun with that truck. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be really excited with it. Imagine putting a 35 in a Tacoma, that would be awesome, but it's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
I can just go get outside and it's got 35s already on it, locked front and rear, geared, and a ton of power. Like it's got everything that the Tacoma never had. You know what I mean?
So the factory lockers, are you satisfied with those? Did they work well for you?
Again, I haven't done my testing, the Chase Gentry approval on, hardcore stuff, but I have seen them do some super impressive things that I know was a lot of strain on the drivetrain, and, witnessing that, it's pretty impressive. All these Broncos that I've been in have been, they've been beating the living hell out of them for, 4 or 5 days at a time at these different events, and the same units have sort of been going across the country. And so, they're really stress testing them, man. I mean, they were out a long time before they finally hit the market due to everything that's happened the last couple of years. And, the main things I think are pretty aggressively stress tested. So, again, time will tell with me actually getting out, and I'm not going to be doing things that it shouldn't be doing either, or picking a line that's just absolutely, I don't know, dangerous. I mean, you're always going to be cautious and aware when you're out driving something. You're not going to just crank your tire and, jab it into something, but, we'll see how it actually does long term, because like I said, I'm going to be doing everything I can to test it. So
yeah, no kidding. Do you know if Ford has a plan to have a booth at any of the expos or anything like that to show people all the new stuff?
Overland Expo West. I think they're even going to be at Rocky Mountain Overland Rally, the new one. Not the new one. The Overland Expo Colorado. What's that one called? The new one this year, September.
I think. Yeah, I think that is the Rocky Mountain.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So they'll be there. They'll be at Expo West, I know for sure. I don't know about East yet, but I do know about those two for sure. I don't know about the Northwest Overland Rally. It's kind of a smaller one. I don't know if they'll make it up there. I know that typically, again, just from my experience, Ford likes to show them off, and then they like to go have a place where you can actually ride in them. So, in that, Flagstaff area, there's going to be places around there where they can, take people or upcoming consumers or, interested people to go experience it, maybe at Cinders or something. I don't know for sure, but places where they can actually use them is where they're going to make an appearance at.
Right. Well, we got a question. Since the water fording capacity is higher than a stock Jeep, do you plan on trying that out?
Definitely. Anything that is per Ford's capacity, I am allowed to do. Anything that is over Ford's capacity, I'm not allowed to do.
Okay.
So in a meeting, they actually looked at me and were like, Chase, we're talking to you. You can't do So
Your reputation precedes you.
They were like, you can't jump it. I'm like, what do you mean? Who said I was going to jump it? And like, well, we've seen your content, So they're like, no burning out. I'm like, what do you mean? What if I'm doing donuts? Like, well, that's a gray area. You just can't do a burnout from a stoplight, because then you're telling people that they can go burn out with their new Bronco. I was like, well, okay, that makes sense. Like, you got to keep all 4 tires on the ground. Like, well, what if I'm rock crawling and I lift the tire? Because it happens all the time, especially in an independent front suspension vehicle. It's a gray area, So just. I'll definitely be going through some water, but it's not a boat, I'm not allowed to act like one, So.
Yeah. Or at least not make any evidence of it by a photo or video.
Yeah, just might not be on camera,
Right.
I'll talk about it though. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think water crossings are definitely something that we do. So I really hope to see some water crossings when this thing comes out. Definitely. Well, that is so cool. So, what other than the Bronco, what can we see in store in the future for Adventure Overland? Do you have any plans other than Bronco specific stuff?
Bronco specific stuff, obviously. On a personal level, my wife and I are going to be making some big decisions here pretty soon, and while we're young and able, we want to do and see as much as possible. So with that comes a lot of travel, and for Adventure Overland specifically, I'm really personally trying to make more of a push on social and to have everything has to make sense, right? I mean, content is king these days with everything, and I'm really aggressively trying to grow a YouTube with Adventure Overland and my namesake personally. A few years ago, I did small merchandise, hats, T-shirts, lanyards, stickers, sunglasses, stuff like that. And I've had a lot of requests to sort of bring that back. So I think we might, really go full scale with merchandise, so to speak, but more of a lifestyle brand on clothing and stuff. I don't want to copy or do what everyone is doing, because if you're chasing a trend, you've already missed the boat. However, everyone's got to have clothes on, otherwise they look funny walking around nothing on. So you can create a lifestyle brand that sort of ties in the adventure side of our lifestyles and day-to-day wear. I think that would be really cool to kind of venture into type of brand that represents living life to the fullest, man. And you only got one life, and you got to live it to the max. And so
that's true.
That's kind of what Adventure Overland stems from. My motto is explore, live, and experience. So that kind of push on stuff is kind of where we'd like to take it. We're not jumping into something that we're not 100% prepared for. There's a lot of opportunity that's presented itself over the last few months, and I just don't want my eyes to get too big for my belly, so we're just one step at a time, so that way we're prepared for everything that we do, so I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
yeah, it did. And I know you can't be too specific because we never know the future, but it's just one of those things where I know guys like you always think about, where am I going to be in 5 years or so, because you really want to think about that, because you want to set goals for yourself. And if you want to do this full time, how can we get to that place? And you're always thinking about it and planning ahead. And there's a lot of people out there that watch this show that's their goal and that's what they're trying to do. And they're constantly asking questions about people who are doing that, because they want to learn from that. What steps do I need to take in order to get where you are? And so I always try to ask that question.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the whole 5-year question is a hard question to answer. I mean, obviously, everyone needs to be paying attention to the future and make responsible choices and decisions. However, there's a lot of opportunity in everybody's life. And I think society teaches you not to take the risks, and I think sometimes you got to take risks to get bigger rewards. And I don't know, man, we sort of live in the now, but with an end goal in mind. Just sometimes we don't exactly know how to get there. Just the main thing with anything, no matter what it is, it's just continuing some sort of forward momentum, because forward momentum is good. As long as you're not staying in one spot or going backwards is all that's important.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
We got deep.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got deep there. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
Come on, lighten it up a little bit, Joe. Come on. Well, I really love watching your content and stuff, and you inspire me, and have inspired me since the first time I talked to you, because you really push and really talk about a lot when we interview you about living a healthy lifestyle and taking care of your body. I know you've got ear surgery coming up. We talked about you had sinus surgery back there, so you're really trying to get a few things because you really want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Yep.
We put so much time and effort into our rigs and different things like that. We very seldom think about, well, what do I need to do to take care of myself?
Yep.
So you really inspire me that way as far as living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, man, our bodies are incredible machines, and it's the most complex machine, in the world. And, we can buy new parts for vehicles all day long. You can't do that for your body. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Again, I live, we're not the healthiest of the healthiest, obviously, but, just trying to stay aware is a big step that I think a lot of people don't do, So, yeah, man. The healthier now, the better you feel, the more things that you can physically do while you're able. Otherwise, life's short, man. I lost my dad at 57, and there's a lot of things that I know for a fact he wanted to do, and going through that made me really realize, you got one life, so live it healthy and live it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, there's one thing that we're never guaranteed, and that's time. And so use your time wisely, live the best life you possibly can, and, live where at the end you have no regrets. And,
Exactly.
and I think that's what we need to do.
I posted something today. It was like, I'd rather live my life, taking the opportunity that I won't do again versus saying, damn, I should have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, every opportunity is good in a learning experience, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? So good or bad, you learn something from it.
Exactly. Well, man, I totally appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on here. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We have run the gamut from joking around to going deep. I think we covered it all, and we really, really look forward to seeing everything that you're going to be doing, especially in the next year. I think it's going to be pretty exciting for all of us to see it.
Thanks, man. Well, I'm excited about it too, and thank you for having me on. Everybody that's watched, thank you guys too, because without all you listeners and watchers everywhere on this platform, mine, we couldn't be doing what we're doing. So
that's exactly right. Well, I want to encourage everybody to once again go to Instagram, Adventure OVRLND, OVRLND, and also on their YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Keep up with him because he's going to put on a great show, and you're going to want to see it. I promise.
Yep, definitely.
Chase, I appreciate you. We're going to get off here. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us, and tune in tomorrow night. We're actually going to be talking about ham radios. That's kind of the direction that the radios are going. It's going to be a completely different show than it was tonight, so it's going to be interesting. Hey, everybody have a great evening. We'll see you. It's been